Have you ever felt that your connection with God could be deeper? Have you ever wished to hear His voice more clearly, or to experience a spiritual renewal that could completely transform the way you live? Imagine discovering a practice so powerful that even Jesus used it before facing the greatest challenges of His life. A spiritual secret, often forgotten, that can change everything in your journey of faith. We're talking about fasting, a path to aligning your soul with the divine purpose, renewing your spirit, and living in a level of intimacy with God you never imagined. Today, let's explore together the mystery and beauty of fasting. Get ready to discover how this ancient practice can transform not just your spiritual life, but also your attitudes, choices, and relationships. Stay with me until the end, and you'll see how fasting can be the turning point you've been seeking. Are you ready for this journey? Let's begin. There's a spiritual secret we often forget, but it can draw us closer to God. This secret is fasting. More than just abstaining from food, fasting is an intentional practice of spiritual connection, a way to align body, mind, and spirit with the divine. Jesus, our greatest example, fasted before facing critical challenges. In the wilderness, He went 40 days without eating, preparing to resist the devil's temptations and begin His ministry. Matthew 4:1-2. The significance of fasting in the Scriptures. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus instructed His disciples on the correct way to fast. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. Matthew 6:16. Jesus teaches us that fasting should be an intimate act, a meeting between you and God, not something for display. He highlights the importance of keeping the practice pure, free from any attempt at self-promotion. Furthermore, fasting is not just an individual action. It also has a communal significance. Throughout the Bible, we see God's people fasting during moments of crisis, repentance, or in search of divine intervention. A classic example is found in the book of Jonah, where the inhabitants of Nineveh, upon hearing Jonah's preaching, proclaimed a collective fast as a demonstration of repentance and humility. Jonah, chapter 3, chapter 5-10. This act changed the course of the city's history, as God, seeing their sincerity, spared Nineveh from judgment. Fasting as an act of seeking and transformation. Fasting reflects our desire to draw closer to God. It teaches us dependence, humility, and obedience. As in Zechariah 7:5, God asks the people of Israel, "Was it really for me that you fasted?" This question makes us reflect on the motivations behind our spiritual actions. Are we fasting out of tradition or to truly connect with God? Augustine, the Christian theologian and philosopher, mentioned in his Confessions how fasting helped him overcome temptations and purify his soul. Martin Luther, leader of the Reformation, used fasting as a means to meditate and seek spiritual discernment. These examples show that fasting is a powerful tool for spiritual transformation. Fasting and social justice, a deeper dimension. Isaiah 58 redefines the purpose of fasting, calling the people to go beyond physical abstention and practice acts of justice and compassion. Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? Isaiah 58, 6-7. This passage teaches us that true fasting is not limited to ourselves, but should be reflected in actions that benefit others. When we fast, we are called to reconsider our priorities, share our blessings, and live a faith that transforms the world around us. How to practice fasting meaningfully? If you've never fasted, start simple. Try skipping a meal and dedicate that time to prayer and meditation. Use this moment to reflect on your spiritual needs and align yourself with God's will. Fasting can be adapted to your physical and spiritual conditions. Here are different types of fasting. Absolute fasting, total abstention from food and drink for a short period, recommended only under supervision and in specific situations. Partial fasting, like Daniel's fast, avoiding certain foods, meat, wine, or delicacies for a period. Alternative fasting, restricting certain activities or pleasures, such as excessive use of social media or entertainment, dedicating that time to prayer. Regardless of the type chosen, motivation is essential. Plan your fast with prayer and purpose. Remember, God sees the heart behind the practice, not the act itself. Fasting in the modern context. In today's world, where excessive consumption and the pursuit of instant gratification prevail, fasting is countercultural. It challenges us to slow down, listen to God's voice, and reflect on our dependence on Him. As a spiritual reset button, fasting allows us to break harmful patterns and renew our minds and hearts. Additionally, fasting teaches gratitude and empathy. By experiencing, even briefly, deprivation, we are reminded of those who live in constant need. This experience can awaken a desire to act with more compassion and justice, aligning us with God's greater purpose. The transformative power of fasting. Fasting is not just a practice of denial, it is a celebration of our dependence and trust in God. It is an opportunity to experience His presence more deeply, strengthen our faith, and align our actions with His will. When we fast, we position ourselves to receive revelations, renew our spirituality, and impact the world around us. As you reflect on this ancient practice, ask yourself, how can fasting transform my spiritual life? How can I use this discipline to grow in my faith and better serve others? May your fasting journey be an invitation to renewal and a profound experience of communion with the Creator. Fasting as a path of transformation. Fasting is much more than giving up food or temporary pleasures. It is an opportunity to renew your soul, align your heart with the divine purpose, and act more justly and compassionately. This ancient practice challenges us to slow down, reflect, and put God at the center of our lives. Whether as an act of worship, repentance, or seeking direction, fasting draws us closer to the Creator and allows us to experience His blessings uniquely. Now, we want to hear from you. What is your opinion about fasting? Have you practiced this spiritual discipline? What was your experience like? Whether you're a beginner or someone already familiar with this practice, your perspective can inspire and strengthen others in their faith journey. Share your thoughts on how fasting has impacted or can impact your spiritual life.